Hey, welcome back to my channel. I recently had an absolutely amazing trip to Malta and I just wanted to show you some of the snippets and the highlights and take you along with me. As you may know, I make weekly art tutorials, paint-alongs and vlogs, and I love creating art outdoors, and I did plenty of that while in Malta, as well as just like seeing the sights, eating the food and having an amazing time. I was kindly gifted some beautiful sketchbooks by Hahnemühle, so I used this as an opportunity to also take them along with me and just create plenty of paintings and sketches that I'll share with you.
Hey, welcome to my crib. As you know, I don't pack light, and I didn't pack light this time either, and for a number of different reasons. I think one is I couldn't pick which paints to bring with me, which is what tends to happen when you have too many. But just want to show you some of the things that I brought that I'm super excited to use. First thing I brought is the Art Traveler, which I got in my plein air haul. The reason I got it is so that I have a nice flat surface to work on when I am going around, and I think this will be primarily the bag that I carry around. Then I also got this, or brought this with me, which is just that mat that I like to use to sit on the floor. Open it up and then I can sit on the floor anywhere and I won't get cold, although it's scorching here, so it's more about being clean when I get back up. I was kindly gifted some sketchbooks from Hahnemühle, and I didn't bring all of them with me, but I brought some of the ones that I'm really eager to experiment with, and these are 4 of them, and I'll show you the first 3. So this one is the first one, and it's the zigzag book. It is 300 GSM watercolor paper, and it opens up like an accordion. And then I brought this one, which is the toned watercolor paper. It's 200 GSM, so slightly less. It's A5 and it's got 20 sheets of like tan paper, so I think that would be really, again, nice to experiment with, and I'm really curious to see how it works with gouache as well as watercolor. And then wait, I'm gonna reserve that for 1 second. Tonks, I brought too much, but we'll see how much I actually end up using. The A6 portrait watercolor sketchbook. This is the one that I wanted to get in A5 for absolutely ages, and because I like the texture, so I've got that one. And then last but not least, they kindly gifted me this as well. Massive. Their A4 watercolor sketchbook with 100% cotton paper, and it's one of the new sketchbooks that they've released. So I'm really excited to experiment with this. The paper is 250 GSM, which is quite different.
If you're enjoying this video, then don't forget to hit the like button and to consider subscribing. Thank you so much, as it makes a massive difference to this channel.
In terms of everything else that I brought, let me show you. So like I said, I brought way more than I would recommend anyone bringing, and it's just because I got indecisive at the last minute. So I have my brushes that I use for my gouache, because yes, I also brought gouache here. So these are the De La Raleigh mixed media brushes, or multi-purpose brushes if you like. And then I also brought my size 12 Princeton Neptune Aqua Elite, and this is a round brush, and these 2 are oval brushes. I bought some watercolor pencils, and then these are the watercolors that I brought with me. This is the Winsor & Newton field set that you would have seen in one of my hauls, and I brought it just because I want to get used to it. I want to like it. I want to experiment with the colors that are inside it, even though they're not necessarily the colors I would go with. And I think depending on what I'm doing, it's a really quick and easy set to just have and go painting with. So I brought this just in case. I also brought, this is my set that has Daniel Smith paints at the top, and then at the bottom it has Winsor & Newton Cotman paints, and it's a set that I took to Venice, and I really did fall in love with Daniel Smith paints, so I had to bring that. And it's small, again, super compact. I'm not staying here for that long, but I had such a good time with it in Venice that I wanted to bring it again. I brought my Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2, because what better opportunity to experiment than while here. So I've got my handy palette paper here, and it's just to have extra surfaces to mix on. I've brought some fine liners as always, and travel brushes as well. my handy gouache palette as always. So that's pretty much everything that I have. I brought so much, and not only like art supplies, I'm just an overpacker in general. One of the things that's going to be interesting at the end is seeing how many of my outfits I've worn, how many of the sketchbooks I've actually opened, and how many of the paints I've used. My challenge is out of shame to at least use 60%. We'll see.
Sis. Let's get the fit. Yeah, stunning. Amazing.
So I went with my sister, and then my other sister and my mum joined us later, but today it's just the two of us being silly and looking around Malta. This was the view from the rooftop pool, which again was lovely, but we just wanted to get up close and personal. And it was so beautiful and stunning. I saw these boats and I wanted to paint them. I saw this lantern and I wanted to paint them. I saw these boats and I wanted to paint them. I just wanted to paint everything, but got hungry and decided to go and eat. And honestly, when I'm on holiday, I enjoy myself. I eat like no man's business, and I almost feel like I loved the food so much that it would be a shame to not show you. So yeah, one, I definitely get breakfast included when on holiday, because otherwise I feel like in my sleepy state I may actually not get up on time and waste the day. So breakfast included. And yeah, I got a bit carried away. My sister making fun of how much food I've got, bearing in mind it's for the both of us. But once I've had breakfast, I feel like I can take anything on, and we hop on a bus and we go to Valletta, which is the capital city of Malta, and it's just so nice. Palm trees everywhere, sun everywhere, a fountain.
Contemplating painting this.
As I mentioned, I was really contemplating painting the fountain. In fact, I sat down and got ready to do so, but then people started feeding pigeons. So I was surrounded by pigeons. And one of the things that's really important for me is to be comfortable when I'm drawing, or to be comfortable when I'm painting. And I can't be comfortable if I'm surrounded by pigeons. So I actually just took lots of pictures and lots of videos and kind of decided that I will complete it at another time. But decided to continue exploring Valletta, and it was scorching hot, like so hot, but still so beautiful. Honestly, like nothing I've seen before. And it's amazing that people live here, people work here. Like for some people this is completely normal and it's there every day, and for me I was completely bewildered by everything.
I don't know, sometimes I like the sound of the place to be in it.
Since starting painting and urban sketching, I've gotten so much better at just observing my natural surroundings and kind of taking things on board, or I feel like I have. And in terms of Malta, things that kind of came across were the boats that I was seeing, like there were particular type of boats, the Maltese cross, the beautiful architecture, and the mixture of different, almost like different cultures and different times that you could see when you walked through. Like you would see a really old building with a really new building. You would see something that looks like it could be in Italy, and then walk past and see like a red box, like everything. You could just really see the history behind the country, which was really interesting. So I was not at a loss of finding inspiration for things to paint or things to draw, and I hope that you draw inspiration from this video as well. If there's anything that you're like, oh yeah, I would like to paint that, then please do. It just so happened that I'm sure I walked past lots of monumental buildings and then saw this alleyway and thought it would be the perfect thing to just paint in the afternoon, in this leisurely afternoon. So I sat down and did a quick rough sketch, and then brought out my Art Traveler pad, as well as my Daniel Smith watercolors and my Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolors, and my travel brush that I showed you at the beginning of the video. And I decided to do a quick painting while chatting with my sister, who very kindly was videoing as well. Although my palette has both Daniel Smith and Winsor & Newton Cotman, I always instinctively go for the Daniel Smith watercolors when I use this palette. So that is pretty much what featured in this piece. And I think what drew me to drawing this kind of alley or arch next to like a beautiful church was the shadows that were at play. I just really wanted to try and capture that, and you know, I love adding purples to my shadows, so I did that as well. And I wanted it to have like a nice loose painterly style. Even though I'd done that kind of sketch beforehand, I still wanted it to be somewhat loose and somewhat expressive. And every time I look at that painting now, I remember the afternoon that I had with my sister, which ultimately is what I look for when I'm doing urban sketches. It can be daunting painting outdoors, especially when people can see you, but for the most part, people are just so lovely. It is something that I'm trying to get more used to, and obviously having someone that you know can be so comforting. So it was so nice actually having my sister there. If you want to know more tips about painting outdoors or how to deal with some of the pros and cons or art supplies, then I will link the playlist up above for you, as I've created quite a few videos on the topic now. As I continue to learn, I continue to share what I'm learning with you as well. I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone who is on Ko-fi. I really appreciate you. Ko-fi is a membership platform where I am creating art challenges and videos and building an art community of amazing artists, and honestly I can't even thank you enough for your support. If you're interested, then please check out the link down below. If you want to tip to support the channel, or if you want to be a member, it all makes a massive difference. And this is the final piece.
In Valletta, making our way to the gardens.
I am yet to go on holiday with the sole purpose of creating and painting, and that is something that I would love to do one day. And I think it would either have to be a really long holiday so that I can go there and like take in the place and experience the place first and then start painting, or it would have to be going back to somewhere I've been before. And for example, when I was in Malta, I wanted to paint the doors, the balconies, the ocean, the buildings, the alleyways, the post boxes, everything I wanted to paint and I wanted to create, but obviously it's just not feasible to do so. So that's why I take a lot of videos and I take a lot of photos, and I would encourage you to do the same if you find that you also have that kind of issue of just wanting to create everything and not having enough time, because I think you get the best of both worlds that way. You get to make time to paint when you can, but you also get to kind of take a bit of the place home with you. Ideally, I would love to sit down and paint everything, but realistically I can't. And that is one of the reasons that I love these videos that I'm putting together with you and for you, because it means that I can also go back and remember how beautiful it was and freeze and paint it. And if that's something that you would like to do as well, then please feel free to do so. I kind of always bear that in mind when I'm taking videos and when I'm taking photos. It's quite often things that I want to paint or that I want to create. Do you ever do that? Do you ever go back on your holiday pictures or holiday videos and then paint them and remember what an amazing time you had? I haven't done it enough, but it is something that I'm going to be doing. Now, there are people in the world who are organized and make an itinerary and know where they're going to go, and then there are people in the world like me who get up, have breakfast, get on a bus, and then kind of get to the main city and just walk around. And in doing so, we ended up finding this beautiful place. So I think because we don't have much time, I'll just do a quick sketch and then I'll finish it at home. I think practicing sketching at home is also something that I'm going to dedicate more time to. And not only that, but also like observing and drawing from life. There is something about actually getting your perspective right and being able to sketch quickly that is something that can be practiced even if you're not outside. So that's something that I would recommend you think about or consider. So I had to be quick and I just did a quick five maybe 10-minute sketch, enough to basically remember being here, and certainly enough to complete when I have time to do so. I actually ended up completing it in the hotel by adding some watercolors and some byliners, and I was really happy with the results. But for the rest of the day, I was basically walking around Malta with my sister, carrying an A6 Hahnemühle sketchbook, which I absolutely loved because it could fit in my handbag, and then taking it out to do quick sketches whenever the kind of moment arose and I was able to. I used to think that A6 was too small, but it was actually perfect for this purpose. For the longest time, couldn't decide where I'm going to eat or whether I'm hungry. You saw that I had an absolutely massive breakfast, followed by ice cream. But when on holiday, I like to eat. So my sister's found a place for us to go.
We're not sure about this place because it closes at 2 a.m. I don't know what kind of restaurants close at 2 a.m. or if we're actually going to a fast food joint, or I don't know where we're going. I don't know if what I'm wearing is appropriate for it. It's going to be a lot of experimentation, but that's what holidays are for. And worst case scenario, we will just have to find somewhere else to eat. It's currently 9:08 p.m, so we've left it late. But such is life. Let's go. Do you like, this is the outfit of the night. I always feel like I can dress differently on holiday. For all those wondering, it was a fast food joint. We're about halfway through, but if you are still listening, then you are a real MVP and I really, really appreciate you. Let me know that you're still watching by telling me whether you pack heavy or light when you're on holiday. I'm just wondering if it's just me. On the way to Gozo, so we're on a massive ferry. It is incredible that there are so many beautiful places in the world. Like, honestly, Malta is a gem. This was taken in Gozo, which again was absolutely beautiful. It's the sister island of Malta, and when there we hired quad bikes and a buggy and basically went on a tour of the island, which was so lovely. We ate some of the local cuisine, we went to this beautiful secluded beach and just relaxed, looked around, listened to the ocean, took pictures and videos to paint later on so that I could really be in the moment while I was there as well. And yeah, this is a section of the video that I am definitely going to be coming back to, because painting water is one thing that I am definitely in love with doing. If you're still listening, then I feel like we're close enough for me to talk a bit more about my trip. And it was actually for a destination wedding, which was spectacular, like so wonderful. I don't even have words. But while there, my sister and I actually got there before the wedding party, and today, this day that we're seeing here, was the first time that the wedding party had arrived and we all got to kind of go out and have fun together, and it was just so much fun. From boats to succulents to buildings, there's just so much that you could paint and so much that you could draw there. One of the buildings as well was one of the cathedrals that I saw, and I just had to do a quick sketch on the toned paper, which I really enjoyed. Like, there's something about having your mid-tones already there that just makes you think a bit differently when you're painting, or at least makes me think and a bit differently and focus more on the shadows and the highlights, and still the piece ends up looking really nice. Malta was such a beautiful place. Great food, amazing views, fantastic weather, and just incredibly peaceful. There is so much to do in Malta and so much that I want to do when I go back there again. Knowing what I know now, the things that I would recommend you consider doing, especially if you want to paint and you want to see the most of Malta, would be to go to Valletta. Beautiful. The capital city has stunning buildings, has lots of architecture, it has shops, it has restaurants, it has performance. It's really worth it. Another thing that I would recommend you consider doing is you could also get a like a tour bus that you go on, and then it stops every so often in the touristic places. And this is so nice because you just get to sit there, get driven from beautiful place to beautiful place. You get to stop where you want to stop, and if you do so, you have 30 minutes, which is a nice amount of time to paint or to sketch or to look around, and then you get back on another bus and you continue on your journey, and you again see all the beautiful sightseeing places. Here we are in Medina, strolling through the silent city. One of my favorite stops on there was the stop in Medina, which used to be the old capital city of Malta, and it is spectacular. It's called the Silent City, and I can see why. It's amazing that people live there. Like, it almost feels like you're stepping back in time when you're there. So again, it's definitely a place that I would recommend visiting, especially if you like seeing architecture, nice old doors, panoramic view of Malta and more. Another thing that I would recommend doing is going to Gozo. Like,
definitely dedicate a day to go there, look around, see the beaches, see the churches and everything in there. And then I would also advise that you consider getting a boat ride or a boat tour so that you can go and swim in the Blue Lagoon, or you can look around and get beautiful views of Malta as well. I was painting my current scenery and I don't know if you can see, I completely dropped Coke all over it. So can you see that? Like all the little tints of brown, just Coke. Thankfully, the watercolor itself was okay. Some bits ran, other bits didn't. But yeah, that's my view. And that's what happened. Initially, I was so frustrated that I actually tore this out of the book. But now I guess it kind of, yeah, it will remind me of what I was doing, what happened. And it's, I guess, part of the story. So now I actually don't mind it so much. But yeah. Definitely more of an urban sketch rather than like a complete piece. Making good use out of this sketchbook. I then packed up all my things and got ready to go. Now, I know that I touched on the materials that I brought with me, but if you wanted me to go into more detail about it and how I actually travel with my art supplies and how I make them travel friendly, then check out the video that I'll link down below for you, as I collated all of that. I think it would be a real shame to go to Malta and not go on a boat. It is such a wonderful experience. We got to go to the Blue Lagoon, we got to swim, we got to see not only the oceans but beautiful scenes of Malta and Gozo. And while there, after all the partying and dancing and having fun, I sat down on a quiet corner and just painted a boat that I could see in the distance, and it was so serene, so peaceful, so relaxing. As I mentioned, we were there for a destination wedding, which was even more spectacular than I could have ever imagined. And there's just something so special about people that you know and you care about and you've grown up with getting married. Like, honestly, I can't put a word on it. But moving back to the video and to art and to probably what you came here for, other things that I really enjoyed doing while in Malta was just trying to paint water. If you've seen my past sketchbooks, then you'll have seen that I tried to paint water quite a lot of times in quite a lot of different ways. And obviously, when surrounded by water in Malta, I felt so inspired to do so again. So whether it was by a poolside or it was by the beach, a rocky beach, by the way, which was really risky to get to the edge of, or whether it was in Gozo, I was painting water over and over. And as well as enjoying my surroundings, anything that I couldn't capture in a painting or in a sketch or with my crayons, I made sure to take plenty of photos and plenty of video. This is something that I'm going to be looking back on to continue to inspire me. Thank you so much for watching, and a special thank you to all my Ko-fi members who are keeping this channel running. If you are still watching, then you are most definitely a real MVP, and I really appreciate you. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week. Bye.